My father-in-law ignored me throughout my marriage until his daughter did this. Michael Wilson felt sweat trickling down his forehead as he adjusted his tie for the 5th time that morning. Married to Jennifer for 8 years, he still felt the same tightness in his chest every time he had to face his father-in-law. "Honey, are you ready?" Jennifer appeared in the bedroom doorway wearing a navy blue dress that brought out her brown eyes. "My dad is already waiting in the living room." Michael took a deep breath. Another family gathering where he would be completely ignored by William Thompson, the man who never accepted that a simple accountant had married his only daughter. The awkward silences, the sideways glances, the conversations that stopped when he entered the room. It had all become so routine that Michael had almost grown used to it. Almost. "Let's go," Michael said, forcing a smile. In the spacious living room of the Thompson home, decorated with cherry wood furniture and paintings by local artists, William sat in his favorite leather armchair. At 68, he still carried the rigid posture of a man who had run a construction company for decades. His salt and pepper hair was impeccably combed, and his charcoal gray suit looked like it had come straight from the storefront. "Good morning, Mr. William," Michael greeted, extending his hand. His father-in-law merely glanced at the newspaper in his hands, pretending not to hear. Jennifer bit her lower lip, a habit she had whenever she was nervous. "Dad, Michael is talking to you," she said, trying to ease the tension. "Jennifer, I need to talk to you about the company's investments," William replied, completely ignoring his son-in-law. Alone. Michael felt his face burn. 8 years, 8 long years of being treated as if he were invisible. He wondered how much longer he could endure this silent humiliation. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now, back to the story. What Michael didn't know was that this Sunday would mark the beginning of a series of events that would forever change the dynamics of this family. Jennifer, tired of seeing her husband suffer, had made a decision she had been keeping secret for months. While father and daughter talked in the office, Michael remained in the living room, staring at the family photos displayed on the shelves. In none of them did he appear beside Jennifer. Even in their wedding photos, William had refused to pose with him. The only picture showing all 3 of them had been taken by an unsuspecting photographer during the reception. William was already walking away, his back turned. "It's always been like this, hasn't it?" A soft voice pulled him from his thoughts. Michael turned and saw Mrs. Patricia, William's wife, standing at the entrance to the room. At 65, she still carried herself with natural elegance. Her white hair pulled into a neat bun and a subtle floral dress draping her frame. "Mrs. Patricia," Michael began, but she interrupted him with a gesture. "I know what you go through, my son. I see everything, even if it seems like I don't." She stepped closer, her blue eyes filled with quiet sadness. "William has his reasons, no matter how wrong they are. What reasons could justify 8 years of contempt?" Michael couldn't hide the bitterness in his voice. Patricia sighed, sitting on the couch and motioning for him to join her. "You remind him of someone from his past, someone who left a complicated mark on our family." Before she could explain further, Jennifer returned from the office, her face flushed and her eyes blazing with suppressed anger. "Let's go, Michael," she said, grabbing her purse with sharp movements. "Jennifer, wait," Patricia tried to intervene. "No, Mom. Enough. I can't stand watching my father treat my husband like this anymore." Jennifer's voice trembled with emotion. 8 years, Mom. 8 years of the man I love being humiliated in front of me." William appeared at the office door, his face as impassive as ever. "If you chose to marry him, Jennifer, you need to accept the consequences," he said coldly. "Consequences?" Jennifer took a step toward her father. "What consequences, Dad? Michael is a good man, hard-working, loves and respects me. What more do you want?" "It's not about what I want." William averted his gaze. "It's about what he represents." "Represents what?" Jennifer was almost shouting now. "For heaven's sake, Dad, just say it." But William simply turned his back and walked back into the office, slamming the door behind him. In the car on the way home, the silence was heavy. Jennifer gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles white with tension. Michael watched her out of the corner of his eye, unsure of what to say. "I'm going to find out," she said suddenly. "I'm going to uncover what's behind all this." "Jennifer, maybe it's best to let it go," Michael tried to soothe her. "I've gotten used to it." "No," she hit the steering wheel. "You don't deserve this, Michael. We don't deserve this. There's something my father is hiding, and I'm going to find out what it is." Little did Jennifer know that her determination would lead her down a path filled with painful revelations and decades-old buried secrets. The following week, Jennifer began her investigation discreetly. First, she tried talking to her mother again, but Patricia was evasive, always changing the subject when the topic came up. "Mom, you said Michael reminds Dad of someone from his past. Who?" Jennifer asked during lunch at her parents' house. Patricia nervously fidgeted with her napkin. "That's water under the bridge, dear. Best not to stir it up." "Not stir it up? My marriage is being affected by something I don't even understand." "Your marriage is fine, Jennifer. The problem is just with your father. It's not fine." "Mom!" Jennifer lowered her voice when she realized she had raised it. "Do you know how painful it is to see the person you love treated as if they don't exist? Just yesterday, at Cousin Amanda's birthday, Dad greeted everyone except Michael. Everyone noticed." Patricia sighed deeply, looking out the kitchen window. "Your father had a brother," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "Robert. He died over 30 years ago." Jennifer's heart raced. In all those years, she had never heard of an uncle. "A brother? Why was I never told?" "It was complicated. Robert and your father had a terrible falling out. Something to do with the family business and—" Patricia paused, choosing her words carefully. "A woman. And what does that have to do with Michael?" Patricia looked up, and Jennifer saw tears forming. "Michael has the same eyes, the same smile, even the same way of walking. It's as if Robert has come back to haunt your father." The revelation left Jennifer stunned. Her husband was paying for a physical resemblance to someone she had never even known. "But that's insane, Mom. Michael isn't to blame for looking like someone." "I know, dear. I know." Patricia took Jennifer's hand. "But your father, he never got over what happened. And seeing Michael every day is like reopening a wound that never healed." "What happened between them?" Jennifer needed to know. Patricia shook her head. "Only your father can tell you that, and I doubt he ever will." That night, Jennifer arrived, home determined. Michael was in the living room, working on some accounting reports for his clients. "I found something out," she said, sitting beside him. Michael set the papers aside, giving his wife his full attention. "You look like my father's brother who died 30 years ago, a brother I never even knew existed." "A brother?" Michael was bewildered. "But how?" Jennifer told him everything she had discovered. As she spoke, she watched her husband's expressions shift from surprise to understanding, then to deep sadness. "So that's it," he finally said. "I'm a ghost to him, the ghost of someone he had unfinished business with." "That's not fair to you," Jennifer said, cupping his face in her hands. "None of this is your fault." "I know, but—" Michael sighed. "It explains so much. The way he sometimes looks at me like he's seeing someone else." The following days were filled with intense activity. Jennifer decided she couldn't leave things as they were. If her father wouldn't talk about Robert, she'd find other ways to uncover the truth. First, she reached out to Aunt Karen, William's older sister who lived in Boston. The call was difficult. "Jennifer, sweetheart, why are you digging into this now?" Karen's voice sounded uneasy over the phone. "Because it's destroying my marriage, Auntie. I need to understand." There was a long silence on the other end. "Robert was special," Karen finally said. "Charismatic, funny. Everyone loved him. But he was impulsive too, made choices without thinking of the consequences." "And what choice caused the fight with Dad?" "They were partners in the construction company. Robert wanted to expand too fast, take risks William thought were reckless, and then... He got involved with Lisa." "Who was Lisa?" Another silence. Jennifer could hear her aunt's heavy breathing. "William's fiancée. Your mother wasn't in the picture yet. William was going to marry Lisa until he found out she and Robert..." Jennifer's stomach twisted. The story was getting more complicated. Did they run away together? Worse, Robert took company money to run off with her. A lot of money, nearly bankrupted the business. William had to work day and night for years to recover what was lost. And after? Robert died in a car accident 2 years later. Lisa was with him. William never forgave him. Not the betrayal, not the theft, well, he never got over any of it. Jennifer hung up, her head spinning. The story was far worse than she'd imagined. Her father carried decades of resentment, and Michael was the living reminder of it all. That same afternoon, she decided to confront her father again. She arrived at his office unannounced. "We need to talk about Uncle Robert," she said as soon as she walked in. William, who'd been reviewing blueprints, slowly raised his head. His face went pale. "Who told you about him?" "That doesn't matter. What matters is you're punishing my husband for something he doesn't even know exists." "I'm not punishing anyone," William said, standing and turning to the window. "I just can't." "Can't what, Dad?" "Look at him." William spun around sharply, his eyes blazing. "Every time I look at your husband, I see Robert. The same cynical smile, the same way of walking into a room like he owns the world." "Michael isn't like that," Jennifer protested. "He's humble, hard-working." "You don't understand." William ran a hand through his hair. "Robert seemed like all that too, until he showed who he really was." "Dad, you're being unfair. Michael isn't Robert." "I know." William slammed his fist on the desk. "Rationally, I know, but emotionally." He left the sentence hanging. Jennifer saw vulnerability in her father's eyes for the first time in years. William Thompson, the strong, imposing man, was broken inside. "You need to move past this. Dad, you're making everyone suffer. You think I don't know that?" His voice was hoarse. "You think I like feeling this way, seeing how much I hurt you and him. Then change, give Michael a chance, get to know who he really is." William shook his head. "It's not that simple, Jennifer. It's decades of..." He didn't finish. Anger, resentment. Jennifer stepped closer to her father. "Uncle Robert died 30 years ago, Dad. Are you going to carry this forever?" "Apparently, yes," William replied, sitting back down, suddenly looking much older. Jennifer left her father's office with a heavy heart. The situation was even more complicated than she had imagined. How could someone overcome 3 decades of resentment? In the following days, the tension at home grew. Michael noticed Jennifer, was distant, lost in thought. "What did your father tell you?" he asked one evening during dinner. Jennifer hesitated. Should she tell the whole truth? About the theft, the betrayal, everything? "The story is more complicated than we thought," she finally said. "Robert didn't just fight with my father. He betrayed his trust in many ways. And I pay the price for looking like him." Michael pushed his plate away, his appetite gone. "It's not fair, I know." "You know what hurts me the most?" Michael stood up, walking to the window. "It's not just your father's disdain. It's seeing how much this affects you, how much our family suffers over something we can't control." Jennifer stood and hugged him from behind. "We'll get through this together." "How, Jennifer? How do we overcome something that doesn't even depend on us?" She had no answer, but an idea was forming in her mind, a bold one that could either solve everything or make it worse. The following weekend, there was a family lunch to celebrate Mrs. Patricia's birthday. Jennifer saw an opportunity. "Mom, can I help with the preparations?" she offered days before. "Of course, dear. Your help is always welcome." Jennifer had a plan. Without telling anyone, she began researching Robert. She visited the cemetery where he was buried, sought out old acquaintances, scoured newspaper archives from that time. Each discovery added a piece to the puzzle. Robert Thompson had indeed been everything Karen described: charismatic, impulsive, reckless. But Jennifer also found other things: letters he had written to William asking for forgiveness, attempts at reconciliation that were ignored. And most importantly, she discovered Robert had left behind a son. "A cousin I never knew existed," Jennifer murmured to herself, staring at the birth certificate she had obtained. David Thompson Walker, born a year before Robert's death. The discovery changed everything. Did William know about this nephew? And where was David now? With the help of a private investigator, Jennifer located David in Hartford. At 29, he was a civil engineer and had no idea he had family in New York. The meeting was emotional and tense. Jennifer drove there without telling anyone. "You're saying my father had a brother?" David was shocked. "And that I have cousins, uncles?" "An entire family that doesn't know you exist," Jennifer confirmed. "At least I didn't." David looked strikingly like the photos of Robert. The same eyes, the same smile. Seeing the resemblance made Jennifer understand her father's reaction to Michael even more. "My mother never talked much about my father's family," David said. "Just that he died before I was born and that his family didn't want us around. It's uncomplicated." Jennifer didn't know how to explain decades of bitterness, but I believe it's time to change that. They talked for hours. Jennifer learned David had grown up struggling, that his mother had raised him alone, and that he had achieved everything through hard work. "I'd like to meet this family," David finally said, "even if they don't want me around. It's part of my story." Jennifer left with her heart racing. What had she done? How would she introduce David to the family? How would William react? Back in New York, she found Michael waiting for her, worried. "Where were you? I called so many times." Jennifer told him everything. About David, about the discoveries, about the plan forming in her mind. "You want to bring Robert's son to your mother's birthday?" Michael was incredulous. "Jennifer, this could blow up in ways we can't even imagine. Or it could be the healing our family needs," she argued. "Dad needs to face the past head-on. He needs to see that Robert was human, that he made mistakes, but he also left something good behind. And if your father freaks out? If he throws everyone out? If it makes things even worse between us?" Jennifer took her husband's hands. "Then at least we'll have tried. We can't keep living under a ghost shadow." The preparations for Patricia's birthday continued. Jennifer was nervous but determined. She spoke to David several times on the phone, preparing him for what he might encounter. "Maybe it's better if I don't come," David said the day before. "I don't want to ruin my aunt's birthday." "Grandmother," Jennifer gently corrected. "And she'll love meeting you, I'm sure." What Jennifer didn't know was that Patricia already suspected something was up. A mother knows her daughter, and Patricia could sense Jennifer's disguised agitation. "What are you up to?" she asked during the final preparations. "Nothing, Mom, I just want your birthday to be special." Patricia studied her with those eyes that seemed to see right through people. "Jennifer, promise me you won't do anything reckless." "I promise everything I'm doing is out of love for this family." The day of the birthday arrived. The house was decorated with white and yellow flowers, Patricia's favorites. Family members began arriving early. Michael, as always, kept a low profile, helping where he could but avoiding crossing paths with William. Jennifer checked her phone constantly. David had confirmed he would come, but he was nervous. "What if this is a mistake?" he'd asked in his last message. "Trust me," she'd replied, though she wasn't entirely sure herself. Around noon, when everyone had arrived and lunch was about to be served, the doorbell rang. Jennifer's heart raced. "I'll get it," she said quickly. At the door, David stood still, wearing a blue dress shirt and slacks. He held a bouquet of flowers, his hands trembling slightly. "You came," Jennifer whispered. "I can still leave," he said, trying to smile. "No, come in. It's time for our family to heal." Jennifer led him through the house. Some people greeted him politely, not recognizing the visitor. But when they entered the main room, where William was talking with some cousins, time seemed to stop. William turned and saw David. The glass in his hand slipped and shattered on the floor. His face went pale, his eyes wide with shock. "No," was all he managed to say. Patricia, who was nearby, looked from William to the unfamiliar young man, and then she understood. The features, the bearing, everything screamed the truth. "Robert?" she murmured, confused. "So no, it can't be. This is David," Jennifer said, her voice steady despite the chaos inside. "David Thompson Walker, Robert's son." The silence that followed was deafening. Everyone in the room stopped what they were doing, looking between William and the young man who was the living image of his late brother. "What have you done?" William finally spoke, turning to Jennifer with fury in his eyes. "What have you done?" "What needed to be done, Dad?" Jennifer stood firm. "David is family. He's your nephew and he deserves to know his roots. Get out." William pointed to the door, his voice shaking. "Get out of my house now." "William," Patricia intervened. "He's just a boy. He's his son." William was beside himself. The son of the man who destroyed everything. David stepped forward, the flowers still in his hands. "Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry for showing up like this. Jennifer thought—" He paused, searching for the right words. "I grew up without a father, knowing nothing about this side of the family. I didn't come here to cause trouble. I just wanted to meet you all." "You're not welcome here," William said coldly. "You never will be." "Dad!" Jennifer was horrified. "How can you be so cruel?" "Cruel?" William turned to her. "Cruel was what your uncle did. Cruel was bringing this ghost into my home." Michael, who had been silently observing everything, stepped forward. "With all due respect, Mr. William, this young man isn't to blame for his father's mistakes." William stared at him as if seeing him for the first time in years. "You," he pointed at Michael, "you have no right to say anything. You shouldn't even be here." "He's my husband." Jennifer positioned herself between Michael and her father. "And he has every right to be here." "Then choose," William said, his face red with anger. "Them or your family." "You're asking me to choose between my husband and you?" Jennifer couldn't believe what she was hearing. "I'm asking you to choose between loyalty to your family and this." He gestured dismissively at Michael and David. Mrs. Patricia approached her husband, trying to calm him. "William, please, it's my birthday, don't do this." "She started it," he pointed at Jennifer, "bringing ghosts from the past." David placed the flowers on the nearest table. "I'll leave," he said calmly. "I'm sorry for causing this. It wasn't my intention." "No," Jennifer grabbed his arm. "You're not going anywhere. Your family, whether my father likes it or not." "Jennifer," Mrs. Patricia tried to intervene. "No, Mom, enough." Jennifer was trembling with anger. Enough of living under the weight of the past. Robert was wrong, yes. What he did was terrible, yes. But it's been 30 years, and this young man isn't to blame for any of it. Karen, who had just arrived, moved closer to David. "My God," she said, gently touching his face. "You look so much like him." "You knew my father?" David asked hopefully. "He was my brother," Karen said, tears in her eyes. "My little brother." "Karen, no," William warned. "Shut up, William." Karen glared at him. "Enough. This boy is our blood." The argument escalated. Family members took sides, some supporting William, others insisting David had a right to know his family. Jennifer stood firm beside her newly discovered cousin and her husband. It was Mrs. Patricia who brought a moment of clarity. "Enough!" she shouted, which was rare for her. Everyone fell silent. "Enough fighting, enough grudges, enough living in the past." "William, look at me." William, startled by his wife's tone, obeyed. "I lost a son," Mrs. Patricia said, her voice breaking. "Before Jennifer was born, I lost a little boy. Do you remember?" William nodded, confused by the sudden shift. "If he had grown up and showed up at our door, would you reject him because I suffered in childbirth? Because we went through that pain?" "It's not the same," William began. "It is." Mrs. Patricia was crying now. "David lost his father before he was born. He grew up without a grandfather, uncles, or cousins. And now, when he finally has a chance to have a family, you want to deny him that because of an old grudge." Silence filled the room again. David discreetly wiped a tear from his face. "Mrs. Patricia," he said softly, "thank you, but I don't want to cause anyone more pain. I understand my father did terrible things." "Your father was human," Mrs. Patricia interrupted. "He made mistakes, yes, but he also loved. He also dreamed, and I'm sure he would have loved you." William abruptly left the room, slamming the office door behind him. Jennifer moved to follow him, but Mrs. Patricia stopped her. "Let him process it," she said. "It's years of pain." The birthday lunch was tense and awkward. Some family members tried to talk to David, to get to know him better. Others kept their distance, clearly uncomfortable. Michael remained by Jennifer's side, offering silent support. "You were brave," he whispered at one point. "Or foolish," she replied. "Maybe I made everything worse." David made an effort to be pleasant, answering questions about his life, his work, his mother. Jennifer learned he was an engineer specializing in sustainable construction, which was ironic considering the family owned a construction company. "My mother always said I had the family gift for building," David remarked. "Now I understand what she meant." Karen spent much of the time with him, sharing stories about Robert in his youth before everything went wrong. "He was so full of life," she said, "always with big plans, big dreams. Your father would be proud to see what you've become." Meanwhile, in the office, William was alone with his demons. On the desk, a half-empty bottle of whiskey. In his hands, an old photo. Him and Robert as teenagers, smiling at the camera with their arms around each other's shoulders. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. The hours passed. The birthday came to a melancholic end. David said his goodbyes, leaving his number with Jennifer and Patricia. "If someday," he began, glancing at the office door where William was still locked inside. "If someday he wants to talk, we'll let you know," Patricia promised, hugging him. "And David, you'll always be welcome here, no matter what William says." After everyone had left, Jennifer and Michael stayed to help Patricia clean up. William still hadn't come out of the office. "Go home, dear," Patricia said. "I'll take care of your father." "Mom, I'm so sorry. I thought—" "You did what you thought was right," Patricia hugged her. And maybe, deep down, it was. It'll just take time. In the car on the way home, Jennifer cried silently. Michael drove, letting her process the day's events. "I ruined everything," she finally said. "No," Michael took her hand. "You tried to fix something that's been broken for a long time. Sometimes you have to break it more to rebuild it. What if my father never forgives me? Then that's his choice, but you did your part." The following days were hard. William wouldn't answer Jennifer's calls. Patricia acted as the go-between, assuring her he was okay, but needed time. A week later, Jennifer got a message from David. "Thank you for trying. I'm sorry if I caused trouble. Maybe one day things will be different." Jennifer replied, "Don't give up on us. Family's complicated, but it's worth fighting for." At work, Michael noticed Jennifer growing more withdrawn. The conflict with her father was consuming her. "You need to focus on other things," he suggested one evening. "What about reviving that social project you wanted to start?" Jennifer had dreamed of creating a support center for single mothers, inspired by David's mother, who raised him alone. But she'd always put it off. Too busy with other things. "Maybe it is time," she agreed. Diving into the project helped Jennifer cope with the pain of her father's distance. She researched, made connections, and looked for a space. Michael supported her every step, using his accounting skills to help with financial planning. 2. Weeks after the fateful birthday, Patricia showed up at Jennifer's house unannounced. "Mom, is everything okay?" Patricia looked tired, older. "Your father isn't well," she said, sinking heavily onto the couch. "He's not eating right, not sleeping. Spends hours in the office staring at old photos." "He brought this on himself," Jennifer said, trying to sound firm, but worry seeped through. "I know, but Jennifer, you know him. Pride has always been his biggest flaw. And now he's trapped between pride and guilt." "Guilt? For denying David's existence all these years. For letting the boy grow up without a family. For doing to you what he did to Robert. Not forgiving." Jennifer felt her heart tighten. "What do you want me to do, Mrs. Patricia?" "Don't give up on him," Patricia pleaded. "I know it's asking a lot after everything, but don't give up on your father." That night, Jennifer made a decision. She wrote a long letter to William, pouring out everything she felt, about the love she still had for him despite it all, about the pain of seeing Michael being rejected, about David and his right to have a family, about forgiveness and the chance to start over. She handed the letter to Patricia the next day. "Give this to him when you think he's ready to read it." Another week passed. Jennifer focused on the social project, which was beginning to take shape. She secured a space at the neighborhood community center, found some interested volunteers, and even received a few donations. It was during a planning meeting that her phone rang. Unknown number. Jennifer. The voice on the other end was weak, hoarse. "It's David. Something happened." Jennifer's heart raced. "What is it?" "My mum, she had a heart attack. She's in the hospital. I have no one else. I didn't know who else to call." Jennifer was already grabbing her car keys. "Which hospital? I'm on my way." During the drive to Hartford, Jennifer called Patricia, explaining the situation. "I'll tell your father," Patricia said. "This might change something." At the hospital, Jennifer found David in the waiting room, devastated. "She's in the ICU," he said. "The doctors don't know if—" Jennifer hugged him, letting him cry. They stayed there for hours, waiting for news. Jennifer met Lisa, David's mother, not the Lisa from the past who had run away with Robert, but another woman equally strong who had raised her son alone. "She never spoke badly of my father," David shared during the vigil. "Even knowing his family rejected us, she always said he was a good man who made mistakes." Near midnight, as Jennifer considered calling Michael to let him know she'd be staying. Overnight at the hospital, she heard a familiar voice. "Where is he?" She turned and saw William standing at the entrance of the waiting room, Patricia by his side. He looked like he'd aged years in weeks. "Dad!" Jennifer couldn't believe it, but William wasn't looking at her. His eyes were fixed on David, who had stood up in surprise. "Mr. Thompson, how is she?" William asked, his voice devoid of the earlier hostility. "We don't know yet," David replied. "Thank you for coming, but you didn't have to—" "Yes, I did," William interrupted. "I've wasted enough time." It was Patricia who explained. When he heard about David's mother, something shifted in him. "I think he realized life is too fragile to waste on grudges." The hours that followed were long. The makeshift family waited together for news. At one point, William sat beside David. "Tell me about yourself," he simply asked. David, surprised, began to speak about his childhood, his studies, his dreams. William listened quietly, occasionally asking a question. "Civil engineering," William remarked. "Robert wanted to be an engineer, but I convinced him to go into business with me." It was the first time in decades William had spoken about his brother without anger in his voice. Near dawn, the doctor brought news. David's mother would survive, but her recovery would be long. "She'll need care," the doctor explained. "Complete rest, constant monitoring." David looked lost. "I don't know how. I work all day. I can't—" "You'll bring her to New York," William said firmly. "We have spare rooms at home. Patricia can help with her care." Everyone stared at him, stunned. "Mr. Thompson, I can't accept—" "Your family," William said, looking him in the eyes. "And family takes care of each other, even when it takes 30 years to realize that." Jennifer had tears streaming down her face. Patricia hugged her husband, proud. "I don't know what to say." David was emotional. "Don't say anything," William stood up. "Just give me a chance to be the uncle I should have been from the start." The following weeks brought changes. David and his mother moved temporarily into the Thompson home. Living together wasn't easy at first. Decades of absence don't disappear overnight. But little by little, the barriers fell. William discovered in David not just traces of Robert, but a unique, honest, hard-working person. He began including him in conversations about the company, impressed by his innovative ideas about sustainable construction. "You have vision," he said one day. Robert did too, but he lacked balance. "You have both." His relationship with Michael also shifted. William still struggled to look directly at his son-in-law, but he started making small gestures. A good morning here, a thank you there. "It's progress," Jennifer told Michael. "Small, but it's progress." "I'll take small progress." Michael smiled. After 8 years of nothing, anything is welcome. Jennifer's social project also moved forward. To her surprise, William offered help with resources from the construction company. "Space renovations, materials, and whatever you need," he said during dinner. "Dad, you don't have to—" "Yes, I do," he interrupted. "I need to do something good, Jennifer. Help people who, like David's mother, struggle alone. It's the least I can do." Patricia watched everything with quiet satisfaction. Her family, broken for so long, was finally healing. But the real test came 3 months later. The construction company faced a serious crisis. A major project went wrong, causing significant losses. Stressed, William closed himself off again. It was David who took the initiative. "Uncle, let me help," he offered. "I've handled failed projects before, maybe a fresh perspective." "This isn't your concern," William replied sharply, echoes of the bitter man he once was. "Yes, it is," David stood firm. "You made me part of this family. Family faces problems together." Jennifer watched, holding her breath, as father and nephew locked eyes. Finally, William sighed. "All right, let's see what you can do." Working together through the crisis brought William and David even closer. The young engineer brought creative solutions, new contacts, and a fresh outlook. When they managed to turn things around, William did something unexpected. At the celebration dinner, he stood with a glass in hand. "I'd like to make a toast," he said, "to David, who saved the company, and," he paused, looking at Michael, "to my son-in-law, who's had the patience of a saint all these years." Michael nearly dropped his glass in surprise. "I owe you an apology," William continued, addressing him. "A big one. I let ghosts from the past poison the present. Jennifer chose well. You're a good man and I've been a fool." "Mr. William," Michael began. "William," he corrected, "or Dad, if you ever feel comfortable with that." Jennifer openly cried now. Patricia's eyes were also wet. David smiled, happy to have been part of this reconciliation. "I'd like to say something too," Michael stood. "Thank you for finally seeing me. And I understand. Pain makes us act in ways we don't even recognize. What matters is we're here now." They toasted, and for the first time in 8 years, Jennifer saw her father hug her husband. It was an awkward embrace, but genuine. The following months solidified the changes. David officially became part of the company, launching a sustainable construction division. Your mother, now recovered, returned to Hartford, but this time with a family to visit regularly. Jennifer's support center was successfully inaugurated, serving dozens of mothers. William made sure to be present at the opening, speaking about the importance of supporting those who raise children alone. "My family lost decades because of pride," he told the crowd. "Don't let the same happen to you." Michael, in turn, began providing accounting consulting for the construction company, finally becoming officially part of the family business. But it was on an ordinary Sunday, 6 months after that fateful birthday, that Jennifer realized just how much things had changed. They were all at the family's monthly barbecue. William and Michael were talking about football. David was showing Mrs. Patricia pictures of his new girlfriend. Karen was sharing funny stories about Robert, without anyone feeling tense. "We did it," Jennifer whispered to herself. "What?" Michael asked, hugging her. "Being a family. A real family." At that moment, William called everyone closer. "I have an announcement," he said. "I'm getting old. It's time to think about the company's future." Everyone fell silent. "David," he continued, "you brought innovation and fresh energy. Jennifer, you taught me about perseverance and forgiveness. Michael, your financial prudence saved more than one project." He paused dramatically. "That's why I want the 3 of you to be my successors. Together, the company needs all these qualities." The surprise was universal. Jennifer had never shown interest in the construction business. Michael wasn't from the industry, but William had a plan. "Jennifer will oversee the new social division. Businesses have a responsibility to the community. Michael will be CFO. He's already proven he knows how to handle numbers. David will continue leading sustainable innovation. Together, you'll take Thompson Construction into the future." "Dad, this is..." Jennifer was speechless. "It's the right thing," William smiled. "Robert always wanted the company to be a true family. It took me 30 years, but I finally understood what he meant." The proposal sparked discussions, plans, and shared dreams. The family, fragmented for so long, was now working together for a common future. A year later, at Jennifer and Michael's wedding anniversary, there was a big celebration. William insisted on giving a speech. 9 years ago, my daughter married a man I refused to meet," he began. "I wasted 8 years because of pride, fear, and ghosts of the past." He looked at Michael. "You showed me it's possible to forgive, even those who don't deserve it. Thank you for not giving up on this family. Then to David. You taught me that Thompson blood can produce good things even born from pain. And finally to Jennifer. And you, my brave daughter, forced me to face truths I'd avoided for decades. Your love for the family was greater than my pride. Thank you, he raised his glass. The family. Imperfect, complicated, but ours. As everyone toasted, Jennifer looked at the people she loved. Her father, finally at peace with the past. Her mother, radiant at seeing the family united. David, the cousin who became a brother. And Michael, her patient husband, who endured years of rejection without losing his dignity or love. It was worth it, she whispered to him during their dance. Every hard moment, he agreed. It took time, but your family finally sees me. Our family, she corrected. Our imperfect, wonderful family. Across the room, William watched the couple dance. Patricia approached, linking her arm with her husband's. What are you thinking about? About Robert, he admitted. What it would be like if he were here. He is. Patricia pointed to David, dancing with his girlfriend. In a way, he is. William nodded, emotional. You know what hurts the most? He confessed. All those wasted years. With Robert? With David? With Michael? We can't change the past, Patricia consoled him. But we can do things differently from now on. And they did. Thompson Construction flourished under new leadership. Jennifer's social division became a benchmark, helping hundreds of families. David's sustainable innovations put the company at the forefront of the market. Michael's financial management ensured steady growth. But more important than professional success was the family's healing. Sunday barbecues became a sacred tradition. Birthdays were celebrated together. When Jennifer became pregnant, William was the first to cry with emotion. A grandson, he said, hugging Michael. Our grandson. The baby was born on a spring morning. A healthy boy named Robert, in honor of the uncle who, even through pain, ultimately brought the family together. It's the chance for a fresh start, William said, holding his grandson for the first time. A Robert who will grow up. Surrounded by love, without secrets, without grudges, David was chosen as the godfather. I'll tell him about his grandfather, he promised. All the stories, the good and the hard ones. So he understands that people are complex, that mistakes don't define everything. In the years that followed, the Thompson family grew even closer. New challenges arose, economic crises, health issues, the normal disagreements every family faces. But they faced them all together. When William turned 75, the celebration brought together not just the family, but dozens of people helped by the company's social projects. Your father became a different man, one of the mothers they'd assisted told Jennifer. Pain hardened him for years, but love saved him. Jennifer watched her father, surrounded by grandchildren. After Robert came Emma and Ethan, telling stories, laughing. The bitter man who had ignored Michael for 8 years was gone, replaced by a loving grandfather and a generous leader. Love and the courage not to give up, Jennifer replied. That's what saved all of us. During the celebration, Michael gave his own speech. When I married Jennifer, I promised to love her in joy and in sorrow, he began. I never imagined the sorrow would come in the form of a father-in-law who pretended I didn't exist. Nervous laughter from the crowd. But I learned something important. Family isn't just about the easy moments. It's about persisting when all seems lost. It's about forgiving when pride says otherwise. It's about choosing love, even when love isn't returned. He looked at William. Thank you for finally letting me be part of all this, and thank you most of all for showing me it's never too late to change. William stood and embraced his son-in-law to emotional applause. Years later, when William fell seriously ill, it was Michael who spent nights at the hospital by his side. Jennifer was moved to see her husband caring for her father with such devotion. Why do you do this? She asked one night. After everything he put you through. Because he's family, Michael replied simply. And family doesn't give up. William recovered that time, living a few more precious years. He watched his grandchildren grow, the company thrive, the family legacy transform from pain into love. On his last birthday, weak but lucid, he called Jennifer and Michael. I need to say something. His voice was faint. Michael, you were the son-in-law Robert would have been to me if roles were reversed. Patient, dignified, loving. Forgive this stubborn old man for taking so long to see it. You were forgiven long ago. Michael held his father-in-law's hand. Jennifer, he continued, your courage saved this family. When you brought David, when you didn't give up, you did what I didn't have the strength to do. Forgive and move forward. William passed a few weeks later at peace, surrounded by the family he'd helped rebuild. At the funeral, David gave a heartfelt speech about the uncle he'd discovered, late but who had welcomed him completely. Michael spoke about forgiveness and the transformative power of love. Jennifer reminisced about the journey from pain to healing. My father wasn't perfect, she concluded. He held on to grudges for far too long, but in the end he chose love. And that's how I want to remember him, as the man who had the courage to change. Years later, the company thrived under the leadership of the trio. Young Robert, now a teenager, showed interest in following the family's footsteps. Grandpa William would be proud, he said during dinner after presenting ideas for a new sustainable project. He is, Jennifer smiled, touching her father's photo on the wall. Wherever he is, he is. The Jennifer Thompson Social Center, renamed in her honor, now served multiple cities. David had married and had children. The family had grown, bound not just by blood, but by choice. On a quiet afternoon, Jennifer and Michael walked through the park where they used to go when they were dating. Remember when we thought my father would never accept you? She asked. How could I forget? Those were 8 very long years. Was it worth the wait? Michael stopped, cupping his wife's face in his hands. Every second, because in the end I didn't just gain a father-in-law, I gained an entire family. They embraced there, in the same park where Jennifer had often cried in frustration. The circle was complete. Back at the family home, now led by Jennifer and Michael, Sundays remained sacred. David and his family came from Hartford. Patricia, widowed but strong, helped with the grandchildren. New members joined as the children grew and started their own families. During one of these lunches, young Robert asked a question that silenced the table. Why did it take Grandpa so long to accept Dad? Jennifer exchanged glances with Michael. It was time to tell the full story. Sit here, son, Michael said. I'll tell you about forgiveness, about how pride can blind us and how love always finds a way. As he spoke, Jennifer watched. There, at that table where so many tense meals had taken place, there was now only love. The portrait of William on the wall seemed to approve. David added his perspective to the story. Patricia filled in details. It was the family's story being passed down with all its complexities. So, Grandpa was wrong? Robert asked at the end. He was human, Jennifer replied. He made mistakes, yes, for a long time, but what matters is that he changed, that he chose love in the end. And that's why we work together. The boy was processing. To honor that choice, we work together because we're family. Michael hugged his son, and true family overcomes any obstacle. The conversation continued with the younger ones asking questions and the elders sharing memories. This was how the Thompson family's story would be preserved, not as a perfect tale, but as a real journey of pain, resilience, and love. As evening fell and families began to say goodbye, Jennifer paused at the door, watching everyone. What are you thinking? Michael embraced his wife from behind. About how my father is finally at peace, how we all are. It was a long journey. The best journey, she corrected, because it brought us here. They closed the door slowly, the sound of the family's laughter still echoing. On the wall, the photo of William with David, taken shortly before his passing, summed it all up. A man who had learned to forgive, a nephew who had brought healing, a family that had chosen love. The Thompson family's story would continue for generations, reminding everyone that it's never too late to change, that forgiveness frees the one who forgives most, and that family is, above all, choosing to love even when it's hard. Michael still occasionally felt the weight of those 8 years of rejection, but when he looked around, at Jennifer, at their children, at the extended family they had built, he knew every moment of pain had been worth it. Thank you, he whispered to the portrait of William before turning off the lights, For what? Jennifer asked. For finally seeing me, for letting me prove I deserved to be part of all this. You always deserved it, she kissed her husband. We just needed time for everyone to realize it. And so the Thompson house fell peacefully asleep, its walls holding the story of a family that had learned life's hardest lesson. That love doesn't see the ghosts of the past, only the possibilities of the future. The end of the story. Dear listener, your opinion means so much to us. Share your thoughts on this touching journey of forgiveness and growth. Leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss our next heartwarming stories.